Well, I'm Anne Teachworth, and I'm the developer of the psychogenetic system. And what is psychogenetics? Psychogenetics is a combination of psychology and genetics, of course. And what we study is the repetition that occurs in family patterns, particularly in couples and in parenting. And psychogenealogy presents an opportunity for people to look at how history repeats itself. And as Clarence Darrow said, history repeats itself, and that's the problem with history. And we've all heard that those who don't know what their history is are doomed to repeat it. And as a couples counselor, I see that happening all the time. So that's what I indeed have talked about in my book, Why We Pick the Mates We Do.
So when you're talking about history repeating itself with generations, well, I guess let's start with, how did you get interested in this?
I got interested in this because I, as a counselor, was unhappy with the results I was getting working with couples. I had too many people who were coming in, and first of all, they realized that they had picked the same type of partner over and over again, and they couldn't understand why. They couldn't understand if they had picked someone exactly opposite, why they were getting the exact same disastrous relationship results. And I began investigating, and I had to take a look at what was the transgenerational patterns that they had inherited. At first I thought that it was what we call nurture, how they had been taught by their parents. But the more that I've explored it, I actually believe that it's a DNA transmission and that it's in their nature. Whether you say that it's in their bloodline or whether it's karma, but I really believe the study of psychogenealogy is an important aspect in terms of what personality characteristics, what behavior patterns, what parenting patterns are transmitted, and actually more than on an unconscious level, on a superconscious level that come down from generation to generation.
So if, as you say, it's in, in the nature versus nurture discussion, it's actually an imprint of nature, then somebody could inherit a trait with the way that they behave in relationships, or the way that they're attracted to a mate, even if they never even knew that.
Exactly. For instance, a client who is raised by parents that they know, parents who they lived with every day, you would say, oh, well, they saw by example how these people interacted with each other as a couple, and that would be nurture, how they were taught by example how a couple should be. But there are all sorts of incidences of adopted children who were separated at birth from their parents, who have inherited the personality of one of these parents. And even though they were nurtured by an adoptive set of parents who are much different than the birth parents, at adulthood, and particularly at the time of mating time, when they pick a mate, what will surface is some mysterious force. And the mysterious force is what's nature, the DNA nature that has been imprinted in them. One like this mother, one like this father, and they have inherited the personality of one of them. And what will show up in their mating urge and in their interactional patterns and in their couple future is what happened that's imprinted in this DNA.
So can you give me an example of how someone who's continually attracted to, say, a type that's not good for them, I mean, how that's inherited?
Well, that's half of the population right now. Our divorce rates are 52% of first marriages end in divorce. I think it's a whopping maybe even 65% of second marriages, and it drops down in the third marriage, and most people say, well, that's because people have either given up trying to find the perfect mate, or the cost of divorce has prevented them from searching again. But characteristically, the first marriage partner will be a repetition of their parents' relationship.
Good or bad.
Good or bad, whether you liked it or not. You're imprinted. I keep telling people, what is your native language? And you'll say English. And I'll say, fine. What is your native couple language? You've got to say your parents. What your parents said to each other in the first few years of your life is what you learned how a couple should be. And under stress, that's what you're going to repeat. You're not only going to repeat that language, you're going to repeat the attraction pattern. If you're more like your father's personality, if you've inherited his personality, you are going to be imprinted to be attracted to someone like your mother's personality. Whether you liked the way your father was or whether you liked the way your mother was, that's what I call your inner couple.
And what determines whether you behave more like your mother in the relationship or more like your father?
Well, I wrote the book Why We Pick the Mates We Do, and I'm basically focused on couple patterns. And I say in the book that birth order has a major influence. If you're the firstborn, if you're interested in finding out about any of this that I've referred to, you can look on Google and go to my website, which is teachworth.com, TEACHWORTH. I have another website, whywepickthemateswedo.com. You can also go to Google and search for Anne Teachworth or Psychogenetics. That's PSYCHOGENETICS, or even without the S. Psychogenetic or Psychogenetics. I am the director of the Gestalt Institute of New Orleans, New York. My phone number in New Orleans is 1-800-786-1065 or 504-828-2267. And my email address is ateachw@aol.com. And the book that I wrote, Why We Pick the Mates We Do, is available on Amazon.com for $22 or at Barnes & Noble, or you can order it from us here at Gestalt Institute Press. Anne Jutzenberger's book, which I referred to, The Ancestor Syndrome, is available on Amazon.com or at Barnes & Noble. Thank you for your interest.